Mm-hmm. And away we go, guys. Welcome in here. It is a Friday edition of the Pony Pundits. And, well, why are we here for the Pony Pundits? Well, it could be because one of the richest races ever seen to mankind or horsekind is getting ready to happen. Actually, where Marco is right now, if you can see behind him, Marco is wearing his Hawaiian shirt in Florida at Gulfstream Park. And we got ourselves the Pegasus, guys, the 2021 Pegasus. We've got Sig. We've got Marco D'Angelo. We are going to spend some time with you here today, kind of laying it out for you, and the guys are going to go ahead and give you some of their best bets of the race, and it's a huge racing card. And, Marco, I want to start with you because we didn't just show up here. You certainly just didn't land at Gulfstream. Racing, it's been a very interesting start to 2021 across the board. But horse racing as well. Kind of lay it out for us as far as what does the Pegasus mean? What is it the start of? How did we get here? And what comes from this race?
Well, this is, it used to be the richest race in the world, the Steinrich Group down there at Gulfstream, your home track, Joe, and I'm jealous. I wish I was there. I want to be there in spirit, but this is a race they put together. This will be the 5th running of it, Joe. And the guys over there in Dubai, they weren't happy that they didn't have the richest race anymore. So they raised the price on their race for the purse over there. And this one came down a little bit. But it's still one of the richest races in the world. And for older horses, this is a big race. We're going to be talking about the road to the Kentucky Derby that'll be coming up. That's where the attention's going to be for the next couple months as we get to that first Saturday in May. But for this Saturday, the attention is on the older horses. It's a big race, big purse, going for $3 million up for grabs. And I'm excited about it. And I think there's some value in this race.
Older horses, Sig, first of all, Gulfstream, you've had a hell of a run here, I know, to start the year off. You've done great at Gulfstream Park. I know you had pick 3, pick 4 here recently at this park. So talk to us a little bit about how it's been going for you in horse racing thus far this year, and what your thoughts on this leading up to this Pegasus and where we're at right now in horse racing.
Oh, it's like the biggest weekend of the year, of the kickoff the horse racing season. Pegasus World Cup, like Marco said, was the richest race in the world when they first brought it out a few years back. The purses have since come down, but the Gulfstream meet in general, from basically Thanksgiving through the Florida Derby in March, is what's called the championship meet, and it's basically where the best horses and trainers go to spend the winter. They say about the snowbirds going south, the horses go south too. We get some of the best racing in North America going on at Gulfstream from December through March, and I've been covering it on a daily basis. We've had some nice pick 5 scores. We've had some near misses here the past couple of days, but looking to get back on track here today and tomorrow.
All right, well, guys, we also have the opportunity for you to invest with both Marco and Sig here. The opportunity for you guys to get their full-day race card coming up tomorrow at Gulfstream Park. First, we're going to let you guys know with Sig, his race car is available race days, 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you head exclusively over to wt.buzz/Sig, that is directly at his page at WagerTalk. And, of course, Marco's a funny cat. See, Marco's got this whole 7-day all-access, get everything Marco plays, and he's been killing it in college hoops, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. But we've got NFL. We got a lot of stuff going on here, Marco, and you guys can have the opportunity to get all of Marco's plays, including what's going to happen this weekend at the Pegasus right now. A 7-day package for the price of a 3-day package. Just use the code PONY69 by visiting Marco at WagerTalk.com. Now, Marco, you mentioned the road to the Kentucky Derby. So kind of lay that out, because the next couple of weeks, actually the next month or so here when it comes to horse racing, COVID was a very interesting time last year for horse racing. A lot of people's schedules were out of whack. Like, what do you mean the Belmont's in November? Like, what the hell's going on? So talk to us here in 2021. What is the plan moving forward, especially with the road to the Kentucky Derby?
Well, Joe, the traditional road to the Kentucky Derby is all of the prep races that we're going to see here in late January February, and then March is the big month. That's where the big races are. And it all leads up to get to that first Saturday in May. The first Saturday in May is the Run for the Roses. That is at Churchill Downs. Then 2 weeks after that, you head over to Pimlico for the Preakness, and then the Triple Crown, the final leg of the Triple Crown is the Belmont, and then that would be 3 weeks after the Preakness, that first Saturday there in June. And last year, everything got turned upside down. Actually, the last race was the first race. The Belmont went first, then it was the Kentucky Derby, then it was the Preakness. Everything was out of whack because everything got changed with the schedules. Now, speaking of that schedule, how do you get to the Kentucky Derby? Well, first off, when the horses are born, they're yearlings, they're nominated to races. The owners, breeders have to nominate them to these particular races. And then you make sustaining payments all the way up till they're the 3-year-old of the race. Even though you're making the sustaining payments, that doesn't guarantee you to get into the Kentucky Derby. Only 20 horses will get into the field. What is the criteria to get in? Well, these prep races that we're going to be talking about over the next 2 months are how you earn points. The top 20 point earners will get into the Kentucky Derby. Now, if there's not 20 point getters in there, they will take the next 20 that enter, and that'll be based on stakes earnings to get you qualified. But you can't just show up at the Kentucky Derby. It's not like an overnight race where you enter your horse in the box, and they draw post positions. You got to earn your way in there. And we've got, the top 10 for you that we are showing on the board right now. This is the current standings for the top 10. As I said, the top 20 will get in. Right now, you see there's not a lot of points made because these horses just turned 3 January 1st. The big races will be coming up. There have been a few races at 2, some of the select premium races, but they were for smaller point totals. When we get down the road, these races will go for the top 4 horses in these particular races will get points. We've got a couple of them coming up. Those will be 50-point earnings to the winner, and those will be coming up in February. And then when we get to March, we'll be talking about those and following all the big ones, and that'll, of course, be the Florida Derby, the Santa Anita Derby, the Bluegrass, the Wood Memorial, all of these different big prep races. These races will have 100 points on the line, and as these horses get their way into the Derby. So it's an exciting time if you're a fan of horse racing. And speaking of exciting times, just like you can in sports, you can bet who's going to win the Super Bowl months in advance. And our friend Sig will fill you in on that.
Yeah, talk to us. Future bets here, Sig. Come on. How do we get involved?
Kentucky Futures book, Kentucky Derby Futures book, book 2 opened today at noon Eastern and will be open all weekend through 6 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. The way it operates is just like a pari-mutuel poll does. They open it up, they put the morning line odds on it, and then as money flows into win bets on those horses, the odds adjust. So you won't actually know what odds you're getting until the book closes on Sunday evening. But there were a couple on the morning line for this book that opened today. The top selection was the Bob Baffert trainee, Life is Good, at 6-1, followed closely by Brad Cox trainee, Essential Quality, at 8-1. There are a total of 23 horses listed in this book right now. And as of 1:45, the field bet that was a morning line of 9-5 was actually bet down at this point to 3-5. Nobody in this particular book jumped out at me right now. I think part of it's because of how everything was adjusted last year due to the COVID changes and shutdowns. We didn't get to see as much quality 2-year-old racing, but we're going to have a much better idea here as this week and the next couple weeks go on, which 2-year-olds developed in the 3-year-olds that could challenge for the Kentucky Derby. Along with the futures books, there's also wagering at a number of sports books in Las Vegas. Both Circa and William Hill offer bets, and there's no future book in that. They're actually offering fixed odds, but when you place those bets, all bets are action. If your horse retires, dies, changes over to harness racing, your bet's action. But you can find a lot. Actually, often you can find better odds through the books than you can through these Derby future books.
So it's a how big a market is that, Sig? I mean, and for horse players, how many guys looking at it and really do try, tie up their money for a situation where it's action regardless of what happens? How big a marketplace, how big a pool is this?
The pools get pretty large, Joe. I was on about quarter to two today. It had only been open for less than 2 hours, and there was already 20,000 bet into those polls. Like I said, a lot of the money though was on the field right now. It's down to 3 to 5. Not a bet I would recommend.
Oh yeah, no, amen to that. And Marco, I know you had mentioned we talked about the road up to the dirt. We do have obviously some upcoming prep races there. We can throw that schedule up there. I do believe we've got the Rise and Star at the Fairgrounds. That's February 13th. We got the Fountain of Youth, Gulfstream Park right down the road here on the 27th. Interesting how the point system works there too, Marco, right? 50, 20, 10, and 5. Kind of give folks an understanding of how that works and how they accumulate all of these points with these prep races.
Yeah, well, it's simple. You've got to show up for the races, and you got to finish in the top 4, Joe. And obviously what happens, and you want to end up, if as a horse owner, and for guys watching the show for the first time, I do own horses. And a lot of times what you want to do is you want to get your points so you get a seat locked in, but necessarily you don't want to have to go into that final race in the middle of March before the Kentucky Derby and need to win. Because a lot of times you want to save some of your horse for the big race, the Kentucky Derby. But you obviously got to have enough points to get into the Derby. So if you can strike early and get your horse enough points that you're assured a seat at the dance, then you still enter those other big races, but you don't have to race your horse at, max because you want to leave some gas in the tank for the Kentucky Derby. A lot of times I don't have a problem with a horse that maybe finishes second or third in their final prep race, but it was a good race. They, raced the horse easy, raced them maybe from behind and came through in the stretch, finished second or third, but didn't extend that horse, where as if a horse, was on the front end and was in a cutthroat battle, speed duel throughout the race. Sometimes, you won the race, you won the points, you're in the Derby, but then that next race, your horse bounces. He doesn't have that same pop that he had in the last one because you took too much out of him. So it's a management. We say in sports, you want your team to peak at the right time of the season. Well, you want your horse to peak that first Saturday in May, but you got to get the points to get there. So it's a slippery slope that trainers and horse owners have to manage, and it goes down to managing the horse and the horse's health.
Good time of year, guys, for horse racing, and a great time for you guys to be able to partner up with both Sig and Marco. And if you visit them at WagerTalk.com, visit their pages, opportunities to make it a profitable weekend here at Gulfstream Park for the Pegasus World Cup 2021. Keep in mind that Sig's race cards are available all week long, 9 a.m. Eastern time. If you visit him exclusively at wt.buzz/Sig, you'll be able to get his plays. He has been on fire, guys. And of course, Marco, he's giving you a code right now. Take advantage of it. Pony 69. That's going to be a 7-day all-access subscription, meaning everything Marco, everything that he comes up with, everything that he selects, yours for the price of a 3-day subscription. You get 4 extra days right now, guys. Use Pony 69. That will include, of course, this weekend at the Pegasus. So, guys, let's dive in a little bit overview before we start getting your plays and what your card is going to look like. Sig, Marco had said something interesting about older horses here with this Pegasus, right? So maybe you can explain it. Harder, less harder, a little more unique in a situation? Is there any other races like this that you can handicap throughout the year, or is this kind of very unique because of the age of these horses going into it?
There's races like this during the year, Joe. For the size purse, not really, but this is an invitational race, so you can't, like as Marco was describing on the Kentucky Derby, earn your way in via points. You received an invitation to race in the Pegasus, either the Pegasus World Cup or in the Pegasus Turf. And those horses that received the invitations and accepted them then entered the starting gate. But seeing a race like this for 4-year-olds and up, for these kind of stakes, you don't see that often. Normally, later in the year, you'll see some bigger purse races that allow 3-year-olds and up. But with the Pegasus World Cup, you're looking at 4-year-olds and up. So you're dealing mainly with older horses. You have a better idea of how they performed historically, and you should have a better feel for that particular horse on that particular track at that particular distance.
Yeah. Well, and Marco, any strategy from your standpoint when you're going into older horses like this? How do you approach breaking down this card?
Well, for me, Joe, when you're dealing with the older horses, there's a little more consistency factor there. I talk about it so much when we do the 3-year-olds leading up to the Kentucky Derby. You're going to be handicapping horses that might only have 3 or 4 lifetime starts. And I'll tell you all the time, hey, this horse has a license to make a big step forward because they haven't peaked yet. When we're dealing with horses that are 4-year-olds and older, they pretty much are what they are. Use the old Dennis Green line. They are who we thought they are. You're not going to see a horse, jump up and have something, out of the ordinary, except there's a couple of horses that we are going to talk about in this race that have been late bloomers. Some have changed barns, and by changing barns, I mean either a ownership change or change of trainer. And the horse that's, when we get to it, the horse that's a favorite in this race, the trainer that's training him is having a marvelous year. I should say had a marvelous 2020, and it's continued in 2021. And a lot of times that is the difference, changing barns. And, somebody does something different with the horse, finds that, pushes the right button. Because unfortunately, ever since Mr. Ed retired, there hasn't been a talking horse to tell you what to do to get him to go better.
I got to ask you too, guys, and we're going to dive into the lineup right now. Let's take a look at the post positions. Let's take a look at the horses that are in this race, guys. 12 there, and let's start this way, Sig, if I can. You mentioned this isn't this isn't normal. It's not the norm about like having to qualify for the races. This is an invitation. The money is ridiculous, which also means there's probably horses from owners who can afford to be in this race that really have no chance at winning this race. This is more about an ego and look at my horses in this race. So let me approach it this way. Of the 12, Sig, how many did you look at and go, no chance. This is all ego. Hell no. How many of those horses of the 12 did you scratch off immediately?
Honestly, Joe, probably about 6 of them. And it's one of the things I do with these larger fields of horses is one of the ways to handicap is to find the horses that can't win. Cross them off. It saves you a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah. And Marco, they can't win. And how much does it cost to get into this damn race? That's the crazy part about the Pegasus, isn't it really? There is a handful that can, but not always everybody's entering because they feel they have a shot to win here, Marco.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joe, I don't have the answer for you what that entry fee is. I don't know if Sig knows it. I know whenever they ran it the first year, it was exorbitant because of the amount of the purse. And if I remember correctly, in the first year, Sig, tell me if I'm wrong, didn't they have it where you actually bought a position and then you could name the horse?
Yep.
At the time of the entry. So, like you said, Joe, the powerhouse stables would buy a position to be in the race, and then they would make the decision on what horse they send as they got closer to the race. And that's truly having more money than you know what to do with, for sure.
Well, listen, Sig eliminated half of this field, Marco. Let's start with you. How many did you eliminate, and when you look at the card and when you approached it, what stood out to you with the horses that are in this race?
Well, let me give a quick handicapping tip. One of the differences, Sig likes to do what is called multi-race wagers, okay? And when you're doing multi-race wagers, those are the pick 3s, the pick 4s, the pick 5s. it's a different handicap. And what Sig's doing, he said, makes it easier for him because he's throwing out 6 horses that have no shot of winning the race. Well, that's fine on the horizontal bets like that, the multi-race wagers. But when you're betting the individual race and you want to bet exactas and you want to bet trifectas, then it becomes a different handicap. Because although I may think this horse can't win, this horse could still hit the board. So I can't pitch him completely out of my handicap. So it takes a little longer when you're attacking the exactas and the trifectas and the superfectas in the individual race as to doing the multi-race wagers, where all you have to worry about is the horse that wins, and then you're picking the winner in 3, 4, or 5 other races, putting that big ticket together. Now, the pros and cons to that, obviously, if I'm dealing with one race, I've got more action per race than Sig would have, but Sig has coverage over multi-races, and when he hits those multi-races, that's when you get those big, big paydays, and we've seen, especially Gulfstream always has the rainbow pick 6 in that where it continues to grow and grow till there's just one winner. And then when they get to a certain date of the meet, if it hasn't gone yet, they have a mandatory payout. And then that's when, all hell breaks loose, Joe, because then you get syndicates that come in. And when I talk about syndicates, that's, a bunch of people that like to gamble or are degenerates or are plus EV because there's an inflated pool there, and they will pool their money together and invest a ton of money in these inflated pools with, the mandatory payouts, because you're talking about, payouts that are hundreds of thousands of dollars when they're big if there's only a few winners. There's pros and cons to both. It's what you're comfortable with. I do more single race betting than I do the pick 3s and 4s and 5s and 6s, but I have been expanding my horizons. I don't want to sit there and watch Sig counting his money from those big pick 4s and pick 5s and not have a piece of it,
I love it, Sig. All right, well, let's start with the race. Let's look at a couple of the favorites, and we'll kind of work our way down, because either way, both of you need to find a winner here, right? Yeah, that's what you want to look at. 2 horses that stick out. Sig, I'll start with you. Number 4, Knicks Go, and of course, the old classic Code of Honor there, the number 10 horse. Talk to me about these 2 horses and what you think and how do they fit in this race.
Knicks Go, actually, Joe, is my top selection in here. Joel Rosario is riding for trainer Brad Cox, who Marco had just said had a really good 2020. This horse hasn't lost since moving to the Cox barn. Basically, he did 3 races in 2020. Combined, he won those races by more than 21 lengths, including the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, which he won by over 3.5 lengths, and he was geared down at the end of that race. He's been working consistently since December, and he's been working pretty fast. But one question I do have on Knicks Go, though, is how he's going to perform without Lasix. As Marco and I discussed a couple weeks ago on the Pundits, all stakes racing, almost 80% of the stakes races, at least, at all the major tracks in the U.S. Will be run without Lasix this year, and it will have an effect on how some of these horses perform.
Marco, Code of Honor, is this not the class of this race here compared to who he's racing against?
My old friend Code of Honor, yeah. Me and him got a love-hate relationship. This horse, he's around the winner's circle all the time. He just hasn't found it in the last few races. And yes, he is the class of the race. He has danced all of the big dances. And Joe, when you read the racing form, you will see graded stakes. There's 3 different kinds of graded stakes: grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. The top races, top horses, the top money, those are going to be found in the grade 1 stakes. The grade 2s and grade 3s, a lot of times, especially on the bottom with the grade 3s, they're good races, Joe, but, it's maybe just a step up from, the allowance races. They're not the elite all the time. But if you look at Code of Honor and look at what he's raced, it's all grade 1s. This horse has not, ducked anybody a lot of times early on. owners will, if there's another, strong 2-year-old horse out there or 3-year-old horse out there, they don't want to race against each other until they have to. And, they'll go separate ways. One might go to a race in New York, another one will go to a race, in Florida. So they don't have to, bang heads early on. But eventually they will when they get to the big races. So for Code of Honor, yes, he's a horse that's got to be considered in this race. I would have liked to have seen him have a better post draw. History-wise, post 10, not the best post at Gulfstream. You could be caught wide if you're a horse that wants to be near the front, but this is not a horse that wants to be near the front. He's a horse that's going to be coming from behind. If he gets the fast fractions and can get a clean trip, and by clean trip, Joe, I mean no traffic problems. You drive in Florida, that there's a lot of people that drive fast in Florida, but there's a lot of old people that migrated down south that still have their left turn signal on for like the past 2 miles. You get behind one of them, and then the guys are flying by you on the outside and on the inside, and you got nowhere to go. That is what happens sometimes to a horse in a race getting into traffic. And if you got a closer, you got to dodge those problems.
All right, let me go, Sig. Let me talk about that next level of horses, that second group there, that not necessarily the favorites. I'll start with number 7, Tax. Seems to be on a lot of people's cards, somewhere in the mix here, top 4. But how do you like this horse going into this race?
Well, Joe, Marco will remember this. There's a horse that I've talked about on the show before that I have a love-hate relationship with. Every time I like him, he burns me. Every time I don't like him, he wins. This is that horse. I've been on this horse many times over the past couple of years. And like I said, a lot of times he comes up and burns me here. But he did win here on the Harlan's Holiday last month at Gulfstream. And he had a bullet work just a few weeks ago, going 4 furlongs and 46.5. Typical 4 furlong work should be around 48. So he was flying. When Luis Saez, the jockey, rides for the trainer Danny Gargan, they're in the money 69% of the time, which, basically 7 out of 10 times they're going to hit the board there. And a lot of bettors are going to look at his 9th place finish in this event last year and probably just scratch him off here. Don't overlook Tax here. He had a bad start that day. And other than that, he's been running all the races recently. So Tax, I think, has a big shot in here. I know he's Marco's top pick. Horse that I did use, though.
Marco, when you bring Saez, I break out into hives here. Last time Marco was actually here at Gulfstream, we watched that debacle in the Florida Derby. But give me your thoughts on this horse who, prior to the Harlan, I think almost a 225-day layoff, and then comes out and wins. So how do you have Tax in this one?
Well, as Sig said, he spilled the beans. This is my top choice in the race. I like the horse. And this is, we're looking at 5-1. I'll tell you what, if I get 5-1, I'm going to be ecstatic on Saturday. I hope they bet Nick's Go with both hands, and that'll drive the price up on my horse. And as a horse owner, I can tell you I love the pattern here. Yeah, the horse had a long layoff, but they came back with a prep race. I love the fact that they ran the prep race for this horse over the Gulfstream surface. I am a big proponent. You're going for a big race. Get the horse there before the race. Get him acclimated to all of the sights and sounds of Gulfstream. And, I've only been to Gulfstream one time, and I can tell you there are some nice sights there to see at Gulfstream, but not for the horse. For everybody else. But this is a spot, though, seriously, when you go to a new track, you want them to, train over the track, get a race over the track, because every track surface is different. Some horses like different tracks better. Well, this horse really liked the surface. He won easily. And you're talking about a horse that didn't race since May. And he came out and won wire to wire. More importantly, and I'll tell you, and this is a big handicapping factor, guys, that I use all the time. And this is something that now with YouTube and everything, it's so much easier, and all the different handicapping sites where you can watch replays. go back and watch the prep races for these horses leading up to this race. If you watch that race, yeah, you're going to see a horse win easily. But what I'm going to tell you to do when you watch the race, just watch Luis Saez, okay? 2 hands like this, never moved his hands till one time mid-stretch, he went like this, just shook the lines twice at the horse, turned around, looked behind him. Nobody, yeah, you saw that big bald spot. Nobody behind him. The horse was under wraps, okay? They never went to the whip on this horse. I told you about you don't want your horse to peak too soon. This horse has got plenty of gas in the tank, and I think that he will be stalking Nick's Go. And the question on Nick's Go is about the distance. He's going a little bit farther in this race than he's accustomed to going. And if he's pressed a little bit, because there is some speed in this race, that question of the Lasix is going to be a big issue. And I have always found through my experiences in horse racing that the horses that are on the front end and exerting all of the energy, they're the one, setting the pace and everything else, doing the battle with anybody that wants to run with them early. The more you, and excuse the pun, tax a horse, that's whenever you have the bigger chance of the horse bleeding. And that's what Lasix does, is helps prevent a horse from bleeding into his lungs. And what that is fluid going into the lungs, which then late in the mile cuts their air down. So little brief medical report there for you on what Lasix does. But that is my concern with Nick's Go, because he is going to be the one that's going to be setting those wicked fractions in this race.
So, Sig, let me ask you a question. Being down here at Gulfstream, you playing this park a lot. One of the things that a lot of people talk about when it comes to handicapping at Gulfstream is, where is Jose Ortiz? Like, where is he? Like, what horses is he on? Where are the Ortiz brothers? What's happening here? Where are they? I got to look at this number 1, Sleepy Eye Todd. 8 wins, 15 starts, inside post position. Oh, yeah. Jose Ortiz riding him here. How do you like this horse, Sleepy Eye Todd? 8-1 morning line favorite, but we certainly know the jockey likes the track.
I am not a huge fan of Sleepy Eyes Todd in this position. I do like Jose Ortiz, a really good jockey. It's his first time on Sleepy Eyes Todd, which is one of the things I don't like. 2, Sleepy Eyes Todd, I don't think has this distance in him. You can see he won his last 2 races. If you take a look at the past performances, both at 7 furlongs. We're going, I believe, 9 furlongs here on Saturday in the Pegasus World Cup. And I just don't think he has the distance in him. I think there's a lot stronger horses with a lot more stamina that can basically put Sleepy Eyes Todd to sleep.
Not buying it, Marco. Sleepy Eye Todd wasn't, well, we're going to take a look at your card here in just a minute, but not somebody that you looked at?
He is somebody that I didn't make my final card as far as for the show, but I can tell you, Joe, that when we get to my picks, my top 3 was pretty easy for me. It was the 4th selection that I had to deal with, and Sleepy Eyes Todd was one of the horses I was considering. He just got bumped at the last minute. What I like about the horse, he has won 2 races in a row. He's put together back-to-back improvements on his speed figure. So you got a horse where his trajectory is going in the right direction. And this is one of those horses that's got to win on the track. Last time out, they raced him in a grade 3. Obviously, this is a big jump for this horse. But if I'm talking about races like Sig does for bets where he's doing multi-race wagers, no, this horse can't win. But if I'm doing trifectas and superfectas, this is a horse that can run on the ticket 3rd or 4th, I feel has a shot to make the ticket. And he'll be a horse that'll be a decent price. He's 8-1 on the morning line. I expect his odds to go up on race day.
All right, and let's get to those best bets here so you can lay out the cards for both Sig and Marco. But just a reminder here, guys, WagerTalk.com, both Sig and Marco available now. Plays are up, and certainly if you want to get any race day, in fact, if you want to hop on with Sig. His daily race report is available race days 9 a.m. Just head over to wt.buzz/Sig. They'll take you right to his page, and you'll be able to get that. And then, of course, Marco giving you the opportunity to hop on a 7-day all-access pass right now for the price of 3. Get every play of Marco's for 7 days. That's right. Use the code PONY69. Of course, that'll include all of his selections for the big race day coming up at Gulfstream Park, the Pegasus World Cup 2021. Take advantage of that, guys. Pony69 on the way out the door. So let's talk about those cards right now, Sig. You kind of gave us a clue as to where you were going, some of the horses you liked, you didn't like. So lay this card out for us. Tell us who you're looking at.
Joe, we already discussed Nick's Go, so I won't go back there. My second choice, I landed on pretty much a long shot here. 15-1 on your morning line, Mr. Freeze. I got John Velasquez hopping aboard for Dale Romans. And this 6-year-old exudes class. He's only run 8 times in the last year, 4 grade 1s, 4 grade 2s. He showed me that he can race without Lasix, finishing second in this event last year. And John Velasquez, like I mentioned, doesn't ride too often for Dale Romans, so that made me raise an eyebrow. And of course, this is a horse that likes to course. A first and a second in his 2 career wins at Gulfstream. I'm sorry, his 2 career races at Gulfstream. I think Mr. Freeze has a big shot here. I think he's going to be overlooked. I do like Marco's top choice Tax. I know I spilled the beans on him. And then my fourth choice, I landed on a real long shot here, Independence Hall. Flavian Pratt's making the ride across country for trainer Michael McCarthy. Second long shot I have on the board here. He began his career, if you guys remember, with 3 wins. He was one of the early Kentucky Derby favorites as a 2-year-old. Before he finished second in the Sam F. Davis at Tampa Bay last February. From there, his career sort of tumbled backwards a little bit here. They did make a trainer change here to McCarthy. He's raced a couple times in California, and he looks like he may have him back on track here. There's been some decent works here, and he has the breeding. He's a son of Constitution. He has the breeding to go this distance, and I think that at 20-1, I think that price is going to even float up a little bit more. I think he has a shot here to be a huge upsetter.
Wow, I mean, I'm looking at those numbers there, Marco. That's look at Sig, that little chalk going on that card here. So let's see where you're going with this card. What do you got for us?
Well, I'm hoping that I hit a big one and I got to sign that paper for the IRS for the taxes. And we're going with Tax on top. As I said, 5-1 morning line. Leading up to this race, the way they brought this horse back to the races off of that layoff, have that prep race perfectly timed position-wise, giving him a month in between starts, tell you that whenever, you bring horses back, generally the best races for a horse off a layoff is the second and third start off the layoff. And the way that he looked in that first start, the way the Saez was just, he was like he was on a ride heading to, church, Sunday drive, never asking the horse, and the horse just won in hand. I think this horse is sitting on a monster race. I got to go with Nick's Go there second. I'm not going to have him screw up my ticket. He is the horse to beat. He is the now horse. No question about that. But this is a big test for Nick's Go. He had, he answered everything in the Breeders' Cup. There's no question about that. That was a sensational race. But he's got to answer the question now. Can he get this distance? Can he get it without Lasix? And that is a big thing. The horse I used third is my old nemesis horse, Code of Honor. This is an honest horse. He's always around in the race somewhere. I'm not going to leave him off my ticket and have him beat me because he is an honest horse. And, he might not get to the winner's circle as much as you would like, but he is what we call in the business as an owner, he's a check getter. Those seconds, thirds, and fourths add up in the purses. You know what I mean? I've always said to everybody, anytime I finish second and somebody consoles me, oh man, sorry, you finished second. I go, that's okay, because in racing, at least my side on harness racing, 2 second-place finishes is the same as a first-place win check. So it's okay. I'm doing all right. So Code of Honor in there third. For me, the horse I put in to get a little bit of a price here on the back end, and like I said, the fourth spot, I could have went with 4 different horses here, but I settled in on Jesus' Team. And the reason for that is this is a horse at the beginning that I scoffed at. And then he ran over my tickets a couple times, finishing third in blowing up my trifecta because I didn't have him there. The horse is always coming at the end of the race. You talk about horses for courses. Jesus' Team has raced at Gulfstream Park now 6 times. Mm-hmm. He's got 3 wins, a second, and a third. That is definitely a horse for the course. So we're going there, and I am going to put him in on my ticket fourth. That is my top 4 selections for the Pegasus. Tomorrow, in my package with my sports plays tomorrow, I'll have my complete coverage for the Pegasus World Cup, exactly how I am attacking the race, win, place, and show, exactas, trifectas, and all of that good stuff. Looking for one of those big scores again. And for those that have followed me in the past, our highlight of the horse racing career for us was a couple of years ago in the Kentucky Derby, Joe, when we turned a $369 investment into over $9,000 with the return in the Derby with a big score. We had a monster long shot run second, who was my key horse in the race. And that's what's nice about horse racing. You can get those big scores, and we're fine with that.
Yep, love it. And don't forget, a couple of things. I love your exotics, both of you there. Jesus' Team, I believe, second in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, looked really, really good there. Didn't Independence Hall, wasn't it McCarthy who won this in 2019? I think it was with this same race with City of Lights. So Independence Hall, can he continue to make trainer Mike McCarthy look like an absolute genius? So we're going to see here. I love the prices on both of those horses. And you guys are going to love the price right now if you head over to WagerTalk.com. Make sure you do not miss a play from either of these gentlemen here. Certainly, Marco giving you the opportunity, a 7-day all-access pass for the price of 3. All you guys have to do, it's simple. Use the code PONY69. You'll get every one of his plays for 7 days, including that full card there tomorrow at Gulfstream Park. And, of course, each and every race day, Sig is your man. Exclusively at wt.buzz/Sig. All his daily race reports available. Race days beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure you guys take advantage of that. So, Marco, Sig, it was peaceful today, guys. I love it. You didn't make fun of each other's picks that bad. That's wonderful. The bottom line is this is really the start over the next couple of months of a great time for horse racing, and certainly for those of you looking to get into the investing into horses. And these are 2 guys that you are definitely going to want to have in your corner. So on behalf of Marco D'Angelo and Sig, make sure you guys check them out at WagerTalk.com. Guys, best of luck with your plays. Thanks for taking the time with us here today. And we'll be back again next week with Sig's race card with all of the picks and all of the horses that he loves. Let's make it a profitable weekend. Gentlemen, good luck with your plays. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks.